we say good evening to and welcome. We're here for the final installment of the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We are here again inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. This young lady's in here. How you doing? You doing good? Life treating you good, I hope? Very good. Nice. Yes, ma'am. So we're here again ready to roll. Of course, Kevin is with us. We're going to be joined a little bit later on by Carmichael, the top 5 games of the week. We're going to be joined by my co-host Dave Angie. We're going to be joined by Jeff Birchfield talking East Tennessee State Buck football season's over. So now we've hit the recruiting trail big time. We'll see what they need and what's going on with the Buck football with Coach Torbush. And then, of course, we'll hear from Hokie High, Chris McCall about the Hokies and wrapping up their regular season and waiting now for the bowl nominations to go out after this weekend. So a lot's going on. We want to get this gentleman in here because he is, in my humble opinion, the expert for this show on Tennessee football, and that's why we have him on all the time. And there he is, my man Kevin Harmon. Look up at the camera and say, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Go Big Orange.
Go Big Orange. An embarrassing situation. I call this Norfolk and Southern. It's a train wreck down in Knoxville. And so since today's show, we talked earlier about Dave Dorn going to be approached, and of course he was very much approached to be the new football coach. Went back to Raleigh and said, I need a 5-year commitment from you guys, and I'm not going. He got that. I think a pay raise to boot. So Dorn, just the latest, has said no thanks to being the new football coach at Tennessee. So what is the very latest? Who is on the Rolodex now?
Well, you can just eliminate names, but the name I'm hearing the most now is Kevin Sumlin from Texas A&M.
Right.
And, of course, Les Miles' name's out there. I'm told T. Martin will never be the coach here this time around.
Now, why is that? Why is everybody so
I think that they feel that he
anti-T.
just isn't mature enough, and he just doesn't have the experience yet to be a head coach at this level. They want somebody that has some Power 5 experience, which Kevin Sumlin does. And Sumlin had a 69-21 record at, I think, at A&M or something. I mean, he had a good record. And his team seemed to fold late, but he's in the SEC West, which is a very tough conference. But he's a good recruiter, and maybe he can bring in some good coaches. And, that's really what it's all about here is the staff.
Yeah.
And is the staff a good fit? I think Sumlin would be a good fit in Knoxville. And I think he would excite the fan base more so than Shiano or any of these others. Brom, I think, would have excited the fan base. I'm not sure Les Miles will, but he's got a track record, and he'd probably bring in some good coaches himself. So I'll be okay with Sumlin. I'd rather had Gruden or rather had Brom or some of the other coaches, Dan Mullen, whom we never even called. And it's really this thing, his whole thing is sort of blown up in John Curry's face.
Oh, absolutely.
And the prevailing feeling is that he probably won't make it through this. And you have a chancellor out there that sort of hitched her star to him, and you have to wonder if she's going to make it, because she supposedly they had a deal with Brom, but she wouldn't approve the numbers. So you hear a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that you can sort of weed through and figure out what's true. And it's just there's no plan. The plan was at the beginning to go get Greg Schiano. And, they put in fake flight plans. They like stuff on Twitter and all this stuff with Gruden. And it was to throw people off so that they could, that whole thing with Schiano happened because there was a coach at Ohio State who texted a Tennessee guy who then texted Dan Wolken from USA Today and said, did you know that this was going down? Nobody knew. Nobody had a clue that Greg Schiano was on the list. And that may come back to bite John Curry. Nobody is in his corner right now, from what I can tell. I mean, they're chanting at the game last night. The band had to play over the chants they were instructed to, and
Fire John Curry.
Yeah, and that's not a good look for Tennessee. But those are students, and whatever. But it's just.
Whole thing's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
Yeah.
We were totally embarrassed on the national stage by his rogue antics, in my opinion. And so.
Well, he's getting fancy words now.
Yeah, rogue.
Rogue antics.
And rogue antics. He acted on his own, in my opinion. Him and Jimmy Haslam. And people cannot stand Jimmy Haslam now. And he is, he's ruined the Browns, and people are so afraid Tennessee's going to follow the same path if he keeps pulling the strings. And somehow we've got to get him out of there. And it's I don't have that kind of money to do that. But There are those that do, and there are those that have a lot of pride in this program. And, we're worse than Vanderbilt right now. If you look at total sports, we're worse than they are. The only thing I think we really seriously maybe competing is basketball.
Yeah.
But everything else across the board, baseball, they're beating us. So we're 13th, 14th best sports program in the SEC. And, that's just not where we're used to being. And I applaud the fan base for standing up and saying this guy's not going to be our coach. Everybody in the media is blaming the Tennessee fans. Well, I don't think it's the Tennessee fans. I think the Tennessee fans say, hey, we can't support this guy. You don't want some of the questions that he may be asked, and you don't want that up there on the stage. You want somebody that can coach football. And he's 68 and 67, so he's at best a mediocre coach. Yeah, a lot of people like him in the coaching profession, but not many of his players ever really played for him. So, it's been botched from the beginning, and I want to see, my personal opinion is I want to see Tennessee football people running the Tennessee football program. If you touched all the championship trophies that Tennessee has had up to 98, Dickey, Woodruff, General Neyland all had their fingers on them. And those are football guys. They either played at UT. Dickey was a quarterback for Woodruff when he coached at Arkansas. Then he became our coach, and then he came back as our athletic director. Those guys, they know, they've played at that level. They know what it takes. And I think Curry has gone out of this on his own, and he's never played football at the collegiate level. He doesn't know what it takes. He doesn't know what it takes to coach in that environment. Philip Fulmer, Peyton Manning, Charles Davis, those guys do. And I don't even think he consulted them. I think they went out on their own after we got embarrassed. So
it looks like to me he had one pick, but all his eggs in one basket, Schiano. That the bottom fell out, so he's out here scrambling. Jeff Brom could be a great guy, could be a great coach, but he's 6-6 this year at Purdue. So say what you want.
If you watch some of his video, he's an energetic coach. I'm surprised he won't come and play at Tennessee because we beat the crap out of him in 1991 and he broke his leg, and that was a brutal game for him. But that's back when we had a defense that would get after you. So, I think he's going to make a good coach. He won't be at Pittsburgh or Purdue long. He'll go somewhere, as will Scott Frost. I think he's making a mistake going to Nebraska, but it is his home college, so I understand all that.
All right, let me run down.
In fact, he does go there.
I know you got to get. Obviously, he's dressed to go officiate a basketball game tonight, so I don't want to keep him long. But let's run down some names. Tell me why Les Miles is not being contacted. Why not Jimbo Fisher at Florida State? Although it's a foregone conclusion he's going to Texas A&M, but hey.
Wow. I don't know why you don't. I think the reason why you didn't is that they went in all eggs in with Schiano. So they ignored a Mullen and a Jimbo Fisher and some guys that think they could have had. They've totally fouled that up. So, you've got, Mississippi State went out and got a good coach. Then got Penn State's offensive coordinator. You've got Florida got a good coach in Dan Mullen who sat around for 2 days for us to call him, and we never did. And because we were trying to get Greg Schiano the whole time, 68 and 67. Tennessee fans are tired of being 500 football, and from Kiffin to Dooley to Jones, we've had non-football people making these decisions. They're making terrible decisions, and the Tennessee fans said we deserve better.
Yeah.
Second most profitable program in the country, or in the SEC, and one of your best rabid fan bases in the SEC. The state is getting better as a recruiting ground. We deserve better. We want better, and I'm proud. I'm proud to be a Tennessee Vol that stood up and said, "Hey, we're not going to do this. We need to go in another direction." Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Right John Lennon's song.
Right on.
Yeah.
Power to the people. We're talking to Kevin Harmon. So going forward, it's just been a fluid scenario the last 24 to 48 to actually ever since Sunday. So if we wake up tomorrow, wake up Saturday, or wake up whenever. Who do you think will be the guy that signs the line and says, "I want to come coach football at Tennessee"? Who do you think is going to?
I think Kevin Sumlin will, if that's where they're headed. Honestly, I don't even know where their head is and what they're trying to do and who they're trying to get. I couldn't believe if they try to get a North Carolina State guy over here, and he turns us down.
Yeah. Mike Gundy just used us to get a pay raise.
Exactly. Well, I think he got more a promise of better facilities, which is what he wanted. That was the only thing he was after. And Doreen got a pay raise. So we've been, we can't even, we did the same thing with Gundy 4 years ago, 5 years ago, before we hired Bush Jones. We can't actually figure it out again. He went to Oklahoma State. He's from Stillwater. He's got a farm there. He's got a ranch. You can't buy ranches in Upper East Tennessee. I mean, he's, how in the world are you going to get a guy? He's been there 13 years.
He's fired up over Randy.
Yeah.
He's
animated.
It's
like me going to coach at, from Tennessee if I was the head coach, and then they want me to go to Memphis or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to play
Speaking
second
of,
fiddle to Oklahoma.
Where's Mike Norvell? How come you're not talking to him?
I think everybody's afraid that he's winning off of Fuente's recruits. Kind of like Bill Battle did off Doug Dickey's recruits.
All right.
That seems to be, and he's got a good quarterback that kind of fell into his lap. What's he going to do when those guys aren't there? I think everybody wants to see that.
Still say the answer for me, the first one I would have called him in Les Miles. Wins the national championship, SEC West. He's not that old. He's 64 years old. That's, by coaching terms, is not that old. But again, this is what I've said all week long. I'm going to let you go. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. My thought, and people have watched this show all week. I just ran into Nick Nichols out at Chick-fil-A. He said, man, I heard you. He said, you got fired up. I said, I didn't get fired up because I'm not a UT guy. I'm a Marshall guy. But I'm here. My show spins around Tennessee sports. So, yeah, I want to see what's best for the program. So, for me, it's a absolute PR nightmare. People in West Virginia that I'm talking to and other people around the country say, man, you guys look like a bunch of yahoos. I said, yes, we do. And that's not the way it should be. So, from that standpoint, the guy that can smooth the PR waters immediately, he can save the recruits that are decommitted immediately. He can pick up the phone because of his experience and get a coaching staff put together pretty quick. You put him in there for a year or two, tell everybody up front, including him, you're a 2-year guy or a 1-year guy, and after that, we're going to get somebody in there to groom him. Whether you bring in a T. Martin, let him be an offensive coordinator, the guy that needs to be there because he's there, he's evolved for life, is Philip Fulmer. I've said it, and more and more people that have watched the show said, you make a good point, simply because he's there. You didn't like him back then. Well, folks, he's looking pretty good right now based on what you've seen in the last 3 coaches. So he's there. He's on campus. He'd be ready to go if he agreed to do this. I mean, I'm assuming that he would. So I put this guy in and say, you got 2 years, like Carl Torbush is doing at East Tennessee State. He is phasing himself out. He's going to turn things over at some point here in the not-too-distant future. Former does the same thing. Hey, maybe bring in T. Martin, offensive coordinator from Southern Cal, put him down there and groom him to be the head coach if that's the way you want to go, or there's a myriad of ways you can go. But Fulmer answers the PR fiasco immediately. It calms the troublesome seas in Knoxville, and you got him as a head coach. He's been there. He's won there, won a national championship. He's on campus. Why? You keep saying, we want a guy. It's Tennessee football. Well, my gosh, you got Philip Fulmer sitting there. Why would you not?
I don't think he wants it either.
How do you know that?
I think he would have come out and said it. But
he got Burns in the AD job.
He should be AD is where I would put him in at AD.
He got Shanghaied in the AD job, so maybe
him and Blackburn both. I mean, Haslam went out and got Curry.
Yeah.
I think Blackburn was raised in the Tennessee system at UTC.
Yeah.
He was the obvious choice for that job.
He may be a little gunshots and got kicked in the gut the first time around.
Yeah, he might be.
But anyway,
and
that's my choice.
I think he would hurt recruiting, but Fulmer's not. It may come to that. Who knows? I mean, once Billy Bob Thornton turns us down, I mean, we may have to go to, who knows? There's some biscuits in there. I mean, seriously, it's just it's a shame. Now, I've been, 68 was my first game, so I've been a fan a long time. I sold programs down there. I worked I worked school there. I worked as a trainer for Johnny Majors. I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
It's an embarrassment.
It was taken for granted that Tennessee was going to be an SEC championship. Once they got Johnny Majors back, and it was Tennessee guys and Dick Dickey, and you had Tennessee guys running it, it was obvious that you just took it for granted that was the way it was always going to be.
I'm going to make you this prediction before it's all said and done. You hear it right here, and I'm just going to go, boy, Tom, that's a news flash. I'm going to tell you right now, John Curry is history. Unless Haslam wants him there with a $5 million buyout, John Curry is gone. Now, Haslam obviously has a lot of pull. He put down the first $30 million for the stadium renovation, so he does have some pull. But John Curry has made Tennessee a laughing stock. And then the other thing too is, I'll get your take. I promise I'll let you go. Going forward now, I think he set a precedent. I think he's opened up Pandora's box, and now the fan base screams at any school going, okay, if it worked at Tennessee, if the administration lets us get what we want, then the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and now you're going to have the fan bases telling the athletic director, no, we don't want this one, we want that one. I think he's opened up. I think the Tennessee fan base has opened up Pandora's box for college sports.
So be it. You know, I mean, that's why we have elections and people vote. You know, the fans know what they want, and you know, I don't think it was such a, you know, they don't want Greg Schiano, and you know, he's not from here. I mean, he's not. I mean, he wasn't a good fit, and good grief, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
You keep us posted.
I have a lowly BS, and I could tell you that. I mean, I was shocked that they even went that way.
Will you keep us posted?
Oh yeah, I'll be back. You know, if you want me here Monday, I'll come in there and we'll see what happens over the weekend.
Monday at Bristol Motor Speedway. We'd love to have you up here in the lobby. It'd be good.
Yeah.
Right beside the Christmas tree. He looked good in black in front of the Christmas tree at BMS in the lobby.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
And a happy New.
We're supposed to harmonize.
Yeah, I know.
And a happy New Year.
Good
Terrible.
evening, friends.
Gone. Good luck. Two-toed whistle, Bubba. My man Kevin Harmon with us here again on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we're going to let Dave Onge jump in here and take over, and he and Carmichael are going to visit. Coming up next year on the Tom Taylor Sports Show. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's model year closeout with gym employee pricing and 20% off on 17 models at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. It's a great time to take advantage of closeout savings on our selection of over 300 Chevys to choose from. 17 1500 work truck, 23,995. 17 track, 17,548. 17 cruise, 16,488. 17 spark, 10,950. 17 Malibu, 18,985. Closeout savings, Saturday parts and service hours, and shopping online 24/7 will leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just two great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Here in the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview. We usually use this segment here to talk about the top 5 games of the week. Of course, we're down to playoff time now, so it's getting real to find out who it is that's going to be playing for the national championship come the end of December, beginning of January. So we're going to talk to Carmichael today about kind of the playoff scenarios and the way that we see it unfolding. Got the championship games this week, and out of that, we're going to have 4 teams. It's kind of an initial just an initial feeling on your part. How do you see these championship games and the impact they're going to have on the playoffs.
See, the scenario to me is and especially the politic behind the scenes, because it's kind of like the NCAA when you set the 64 teams for the bracket. Now you're only talking about 4, so I'm sure there's heavy politicking between conferences trying to make sure their team gets in to this Final Four championship. I think tomorrow and Saturday, if the top 4 teams, which Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, if they win out, they're in. There's no way that one of them could have a poor performance and still win the game and somebody come up, jump them at maybe 4 or 5. So if you have those 4 teams, they're in. I think the most success team that could lose probably out of those 4, to me, is Auburn.
Yeah.
Can Auburn keep the running game going that they've had the last month? Can their defense still play at that level that they've played since after the debacle with LSU where they blew the big lead? If they can, they'll beat Georgia. But it's tough for a team to beat another team twice, especially in college football, twice in 1 year. To me, that's the most logical team to lose. If anybody out of that 4 loses, I think it's Auburn. If Auburn loses, now does the committee pick the conference champion, 1-loss Georgia, or do they take Alabama?
Wow.
I mean, do they take the name record? I think they take Georgia. I think they've got to take Georgia, because then when they look at Georgia versus Alabama, Alabama doesn't have a big win. Their big win of the year is beating Florida State at the very first game before Florida State, hit the skids. And when you really look at Alabama's season, what have they done really since September?
Yeah.
This is a team that's struggled October, November. They've had injuries along the defensive line, especially linebackers, the last few weeks. They were starting to get a little bit healthier. And maybe if they get into a playoff scenario, maybe by January they get it back to cooking, especially on defense. But I think if Georgia wins that game, they go and would slide in. Now you look at, say Clemson loses to Miami. Does Miami come all the way in? I don't think so. Miami needs help. I think Miami needs another team, say Wisconsin or Oklahoma, to lose. If one of those 2 teams loses, then I think Miami can slide their way into the Final Four.
Yeah, just in my opinion, and of course this is all opinion at this point. There's going to be a lot of debate as we come up on this weekend. And I see it this way. I see the SEC championship game, the winner gets in. I see the ACC championship game, regardless of whether it's Miami or Clemson, winner gets in. Just to me, you look at that league, how tough it's been this year. It just, to me, seeing a 1-loss team that is the champion of the ACC, I would assume that team would be in the playoffs. So, to me, that kind of takes 2 off the table. Do you see it that way? Or?
I see it that way too. I mean, I really kind of see it that way. The ACC, and the SEC people are not going to like to hear this, but the last 2 years, the ACC's had the best league in college football. Yeah. I think they've not had 1 through 14 but they're in that 1 through 5 or 6. The ACC, you put their teams up against any of the SEC teams, or the Big 10 or the Big 12, and they're going to do well. Miami is really, you would hate to see a year like that come to just one bad game against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
They're in November going north. But I really think I think Clemson, though, will take Miami. They'll be able to handle them. It'll be interesting to see how Miami moves the ball against Clemson's defense. I'm not really about Clemson. I think Clemson can make a few big plays on offense to get maybe to 21 points or 24 points. But can Miami score enough against Clemson's defense? Clemson's been one of the best defensive teams in the country the last 4 years under Brent Venables.
Yeah, looking at situations and how they change from year to year, I think it's awfully funny. I think it was last year that Nick Saban was standing up there as Alabama head coach saying, if you don't win your conference championship, you have no business in the playoffs, talking about Ohio State. This year, he's lobbying to get his team in, even though they have no chance of being conference champions. So it can change in a hurry.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's one day you're the windshield, and one day you're the bug. So so Nicky Boy he's trying his best, and he needs some help. He knows that. He's got to have help along the way, and I think he needs at least 2 of those teams to lose, primarily the Wisconsin-Ohio State game.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting there. You see Ohio State playing for a Big Ten championship against Wisconsin. I think the consensus is Wisconsin wins and stays undefeated, they've got a playoff spot. So that takes 3 off the table. So you'll have ACC champ, SEC champ, and you'll have Wisconsin, the Big Ten champ, in there, which I think the teams on the outside looking in obviously are pulling for Ohio State to win that game because there's a lot of arguments against Ohio State playing in the playoffs.
There are. When you go to Iowa and lose as bad as they lost, when you play Oklahoma at home and lose as bad as they lost, I don't see how you can get into I don't see where you belong unless you have such a collapse by the 3 of the 4 teams that are in the Final Four or in the 4 right now. That you're going to need you're going to need to beat Wisconsin and probably need Clemson, need help from Miami, and need help from TCU.
Yeah, definitely so. And that Oklahoma-TCU game is one that could really upset the apple cart because, TCU wins that thing, and I don't think there's a chance that they get in. So that opens up a spot. So if you're Alabama, that's what you're looking at and hoping for. You're Ohio State as well, and you're going to try to win the Big Ten and all that. You're looking for that game to fall your way. So, yeah, a lot of people watching the Big 12 title game.
And if Baker Mayfield needs anything else to kind of get him going and moving, I think it was the Unitas Award or the Golden Arm Award today, like one of the top quarterbacks of the year. He loses to Mason Rudolph of Oklahoma State.
Wow.
So maybe that gives him just a little bit of extra push to try to prove. And this is also it's his last chance to prove to the country that he deserves. I mean, he's the Heisman front runner. He needs a strong finish because if Bryce Love has a great game tomorrow night with Stanford, he still has an opportunity. I think Mayfield needs to put an exclamation point, and I think he will against TCU.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma to me seems like they've been overlooked all year. Despite having a big win on the road against Ohio State, to be a one-loss team, and obviously just in recent years the Big 12 has been overlooked, the Big 12 champ in terms of getting into the playoffs. At times. So people out there that might not be as aware of Oklahoma going into this weekend, what are the strengths of that football team?
It's offense. There's no strengths on defense. It's they have to outscore you.
Yeah.
And TCU needs to be able to run the ball effectively. They kind of run and throw it a little bit. They're more balanced.
Yep.
Their quarterback though is TCU's main option. But if Oklahoma just gets it going with Mayfield offensively, I don't think there's a team in the country. I don't know if Clemson can even slow them down enough to stop them. And that's going to be the key. You're going to have to control the ball on offense by running the ball, or even if you're throwing the ball, maybe not going quick. Just take your time, go deliberate, and just play good defense. You can't have wide receivers running 20 yards down the field unguarded. And that's what, in a lot of games this year, it's what Oklahoma's had.
Yeah, the one thing about Oklahoma that opens up that passing game, they have that giant offensive line, and that was really their strength coming into the year. And you've got to commit so much up front at times to stopping the run that really opens up the pass game for them.
And they're able to run the ball. I mean, that's, people don't realize that. You think of Oklahoma, especially the last couple of years, you think, well, all they are throw. Well, you look now in the NFL this year, and you've got Samaje Perine, and you've got Joe Mixon running the ball as well as they have as rookies. And Oklahoma still is able to run the ball this year with an effective running game.
And definitely start looking at the playoffs. That's a strength there. And, I don't watch much Big 12 football. Do they even allow defense? Do they?
No. Oklahoma football can outscore Virginia. And Virginia's like one of the top teams in college basketball. They can outscore Virginia's basketball team.
Yeah, it's definitely a different style, and that's what's fun about this playoff thing to me is, you have these arguments all year long. You play some non-conference games early. People try to gauge by that, but that's September. Then, of course, you start getting into conference play, and the argument really heats up as you see these teams develop. Okay, who's going to be the good league? Which league is going to put the best team into the playoffs? You mentioned earlier about how good the ACC has been. In your opinion, is the ACC, have they proven themselves to be the best league in the country this year?
I think this year they're there, but the problem with the ACC this year has been you've had Miami has taken the place of Florida State. Usually it's been Florida State, Clemson, and then some other teams. But this year you've had a little bit of a drop off. North Carolina's not been as strong as they've had in the past. North Carolina State started off strong, faded down the finish. Thank goodness that Mr. Doran decided to stay in Raleigh and not come to Knoxville. But Miami has kind of taken that mantle as the number 2 team. When people in the SEC they talk about Alabama's great defense. Well, what's been the score of the last 2 national championship games? They've been like 45-40 and 30. I mean, they've been shootouts.
Yeah.
and Alabama can move the ball well offensively, but their defense, I think their defense is very overrated, at least in the college game.
Last thing, we'll oh my goodness, John Currie looking for UT's next coach. Looks like he's let's get that up there on the camera. Yep, it's hard times down there in Knoxville at the moment. Well, last thing for you here, going into this weekend, if you have to make some bold predictions, who are the 4 teams when the dust settles that enter the playoffs?
Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, Alabama.
Those are the 4.
I think Ohio's, even though I think Wisconsin will beat Ohio State. Somebody, it's not going to happen because there's always something that has gone wrong. And Wisconsin's floor is really good. They're a good team. Yeah. They, especially on the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively. But Ohio State has that ability to play really bad or really, really good.
Yeah.
And is it the really good Ohio State team? You know, J.T. Barrett's last Big Ten game.
Yeah. Can
they play that well to win? If he could make the difference in them winning, and if they do, then I think Bama sneaks in. Especially if the other 3 win, I think Bama sneaks in because I think the committee would really kind of like to see Bama and Clemson. You know, kind of like the Warriors. Yeah. We've talked about it in basketball. The Warriors and the Cavs the last 3 years have been the most compelling basketball series in a long time. Now you got Clemson and Alabama. This is round like Rocky 1, 2, 3. You know, Rocky and Apollo Creed. You know, you have that many fights, so you might want to see Clemson and Alabama go at it one last time.
Yeah, it's interesting to see a team not playing in a conference championship game get in. You know, if that happens, people are going to be howling. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So, well, definitely look forward to this weekend of football.
And Alabama gets to see their future coach because that is my really bold, and it shouldn't be a bold prediction. When Nick decides to leave, I think they go calling Dabo home.
Wow. And
bring Dabo. I think that's the one. I think that's the one job he would leave Clemson.
Man,
he would leave Clemson for is if he did leave Clemson. I think if Alabama comes calling, it's hard to tell your alma mater no.
Yeah.
You went to school there. You spent a lot of good years of your life there. It's hard to say no to them, and I think that's where Alabama would go, especially if Nick decided at the end of this year, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I want to just go off into the sunset. Dabo comes in and takes the show.
That's what I love about college football. You know, just the storylines. You never know what's coming next, and that would add a lot of heat to an already hot rivalry. So.
Much better storylines than professional football has been the last few years.
Definitely, I agree with you there. Carmichael, appreciate your time.
Okay.
Good to visit with you in person.
Yes, sir. Today. Yeah, we made that. Able to make this last couple of times we've been here. Able to make the trip. Stay a little bit earlier. I could coming from the park. So.
Yeah, not bad at all. So. Always a good visit. We're going to take a little break here, and we're going to be right back and continue on here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City takes care of both male and female customers, but owner Kim Smith says they have a special care and concern for ladies.
Being a female in what's considered a man's business, I understand the trepidation that women may have when they come to the shop. They feel like they don't know about cars, they might be intimidated, but that's not the way we do business. Everybody's treated the same. We take the time to explain anything that they have questions about, the repair, the process, the part. We want to make sure people are comfortable with what we're going to do to their vehicle and that they understand. We do cater to women in a sense. We have a real nice waiting room with nice Keurig coffee and flavored creamers, air-conditioned, cushioned seats, TV, everything a girl could want while she waits for her car to be fixed.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
Do you need an event catered? At Phil's Dream Pit, we cater for gatherings over 50 people, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, company picnics, sporting banquets, to name a few. We can set up, clean up, and of course serve. We also offer value packs that include all the food. You pick that up and serve it yourself. Check out our webpage at philsdreampit.com. That's philsdreampit.com. PulpOrchardPicnic.com. Phil's Dream Pit, Eastern Star exit on I-26, open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we're a phone call away at 423-349-6437. 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
Back with the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Again, co-host, that would be us. That would be Dave Onge, Tom Taylor.
That's
great.
There we go. Having a hard time here.
Yeah, great segment with you and Carmichael. Great segment.
That's great. He broke it down really well. And, I don't remember a weekend that we're going into where it seems like there's so much up in the air, just because a lot of these title games this year, a lot of even matchups. I think Auburn, Georgia might be the best SEC championship game that I can remember in a long time in terms of not knowing what's going to happen. Normally it's Alabama facing a team from the East that, is not very competitive. It's over by halftime, but and a lot riding on that game too. It's going to be a lot of fun there. I think all those championship games are going to be fun to watch.
You talk about Kevin Sumlin. It appears to be one of the front runners now for the Tennessee job because Doran told him no earlier today. So Sumlin, if you look at his numbers, 51-26 at Texas A&M, 25-23 in the Southeastern Conference. Never had a losing season. His first year Texas A&M was his best. Never could come close to matching it. So, of course, back in 2012, had a guy by the name of Johnny Manziel there. So
yeah,
again,
that helped the numbers.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a double-edged sword there too. He recruits Manziel. So, think of a guy that can recruit that type of quarterback talent. That could be appealing to Tennessee when you're looking at quarterbacks this year that just seemed like they couldn't really generate much of anything offensively. But the other side of that is a lot of the wins are due to one player. So
I like what we talked during the break. I have said from the get-go, from day one, when Jones was gone and Shiano was a train wreck and that one blew up, of course, on Sunday, why don't you get Les Miles? Or at least talk to him. I don't think they've even talked to the guy. So just saw a couple of stories on Facebook from some people that know Les Miles. Says he's very interested in the Tennessee job.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if that's poppycock, but it's legitimate. But you had a great point to get this guy in on an interim basis or temporary basis. He's 64 years old, not that old in coaching ranks, but he's not 44, obviously.
Yeah.
So you've got a great solution, and with Fulmer and with Les Miles. Tell me what.
Yeah.
I thought this was a great idea.
First of all, you fire Curry, because I'm going to tell you something. You're the University of Tennessee. You've had a couple coaching hires recently. Well, since Fulmer, of course, they bring in Kiffin first. That was going to go reasonably well. I think he was going to do a good job at Tennessee. He got called back to Southern California. You can't blame him for going there. Then you bring in Dooley, and then you bring in Butch Jones, and both of those hires were absolute train wrecks. You have to learn something from that. I mean, their top 4 or 5 candidates in both of those cases told them no, and they're scrambling around all over the place trying to hire a coach. And I think they settled in both cases, if we're being honest, on those 2 football coaches. And here we are again doing the same thing. So that's a leadership problem, And so I think Curry's got to go. So what do you do if you're a program that's trying to shore up a lot of problems at once? You got to use people. You got to have people that are tied very closely to the program. Bring Fulmer in as the AD. Let him handle the football hire. Have him hire Les Miles. Okay, Les, you're coming in. You're the head coach. How many years does he have left? It can't be more than 5 years, right? So you bring him in and have him under the stipulation he hires T. Martin as his offensive coordinator and gets him ready to become a head coach. And he's going to be the coach in waiting. He's going to be paid about $1 million or a little over $1 million a year to stick around, be the coach in waiting. He's going to learn what you need to do to run a program, going to further develop his skills as an offensive coordinator, and they're going to be ready to hand the reins over to a guy that played for the University of Tennessee. And I think that's the only way you heal this. You bring in a top-notch championship coach, which is what they're looking for, and they have one interested, and they're out here looking at NC State. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. So that's what you do if you really want to heal this program and get it back together. If you want to wander around the wilderness another 10 years, they'll be down to MAC coaches here pretty soon, or Sun Belt coaches. If they want to go that route, more power to them, but that's the way to fix it.
Well, you're exactly right. Go ahead and hit the bell. Good job, Mr. Angie. Great analysis. See, my question is, and has been since the get-go, you've coached Tennessee, and by the way, those hires that were bust were under Dave Hart's watch.
Yeah.
Curry's watch is now, I guess, the only one he's made a change is the baseball coach, and we'll see how that goes for him. But
if you can't learn from the history
exactly.
of the program, I mean, learn from others' mistakes. Good leaders learn from the mistakes of others, and at Tennessee, that's fertile ground to learn from the mistakes of others because they've made a lot of mistakes over the last 10 years. He should have come in and done a better job. Why is he repeating the same failed way that they've hired their football coaches the last 2 times? That right there gives me no confidence in his leadership ability.
We're talking again the Champion 5-Star Football Preview Show. Andy Dietrich comes up here in a little while to kind of weigh in on what he thinks what's going on, of course, what all's happening here at the dealership. The number 1 Chevy dealer in the state, from Memphis to Mountain City and Mountain City to Memphis. Nobody in the state of Tennessee sells more Chevrolets than these folks right here at Champion Chevrolet. I guess if you and I have been playing basketball, all these years, and you've been wearing me out, I've been wearing you out. Let's say you've been wearing me out, I got a chance to get you. You're up for grabs, whether you get traded or this is all hypothetical. But I get a chance to get him because every time I play him, he burns my biscuits. Well, I'm getting tired of getting burned. So I'm thinking, I want this guy on my team now. So when you have a Les Miles sitting out there, or in this case, when they fired Sumlin last Saturday. Yeah, last Sunday. I don't remember the timeline. It's been 3 or 4 or 5 days since he got canned. I'm looking at these numbers, I'm thinking, Shiano 68 and 67 at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Doran, so-so at North Carolina State. But you got 2 guys sitting here. Kevin Sumlin's got the second winningest percentage in the history of Texas A&M football. 30, 51 and 26, 25 and 23. So what's not very good? Well, let me tell you, Dan Mullen went to Florida at 32 and 39 in the Southeastern Conference. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but he's 51 and 26, so I'll go after him. But again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but Les Miles has won a national championship, and he was always banging heads with Arkansas when in their heyday, certainly Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State had their run here a while back, but consistently LSU was there in the hunt. And why you don't go see him the very first thing, he's sitting out there like a Cheshire cat. Now they're telling us that he is very interested in the position, but I don't understand why you didn't go get him first. But
this is what bothers me about that. When Curry first started telling people their prerequisites for this position, what they were looking for in a coach, he said, we want a proven championship caliber coach, a coach that's won championships. Les Miles has won a national championship. As far as I know, he's the only coach out there in the pool of coaches that they could possibly consider who's won a national championship, and he's interested. So I mean, they wanted somebody. When they described what they wanted, they were describing Les Miles, and they haven't called the guy yet. So to me, you can take that one of 2 ways. Either Curry is just clueless, doesn't know what he's talking about, or the donor, who everybody assumes is Jimmy Haslam, the guy that's running the Cleveland Browns, which how's that going? Has other ideas in mind. It doesn't want Les Miles. Either way, whatever's happened is not to the best interest of the Tennessee fan, because this should have been done 5 days ago. Les Miles should be the coach at Tennessee. Everybody should move down the road. I mean, there's no better option out there. Once Chip Kelly goes to UCLA, and once Mullen goes down to Florida, the slam dunk is to call and get Les Miles in to coach the football team.
Now, here's another little piece of the puzzle, obviously. Brett Bielema is gone at Arkansas. That's an opening. Who's to say they don't go after him? They keep saying Gus Malzahn's going to leave Auburn. I don't know now if he's going to do that, because this guy's riding the wave at Auburn. But Arkansas is open. We don't know if Missouri's going to be open. You say, well, what's that got to do with anything? Well, Arkansas, if they had any sense, they'd go right for Les Miles. And I don't know whether he'd go there or not. But I guess my point is Tennessee's not the only opening, and they're certainly not the only opening in the Southeastern Conference. I don't know if Missouri's going to open up. Arizona State's out there. They say Herm Edwards is a front runner for that job, but that's not a definitive. That's what if or a hypothetical. So my point is, if you're going to go after a guy like Les Miles or Kevin Sumlin, you best be on the phone, because there'll be more coaches opening up after this weekend. I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
But you best get him while you got a chance to get him, because other people are going to be knocking on his door. So.
This drives me crazy, because the whole point of firing your coach during the regular season and getting him out of there, and Florida did the same thing. And the one thing Tennessee fans were saying, well, you do this so you get a head start on everybody else. Well, you're about to lose your head start, and you still don't have a coach, and still haven't called Les Miles. So to me, that's if it's true that Les Miles wants to go to Tennessee, if they've called and asked him and he said no, that's one thing. But if he wants to come to Tennessee and they haven't called him, that's, to me, is crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, another part of this, too, before we go to the break, is while Tennessee's still trying to find a coach, in fact, Jeff Brom he came off of the airplane there in West Lafayette. He'd been seeing recruits, okay? While Tennessee's looking for a coach, you've got Dan Mullen down there solidifying the Florida recruits. You've got the coach of Mississippi State solidifying his recruits. I mean, you've got all these guys, not all these guys, but several of these guys now that are in position. Chip Kelly out at UCLA, he's out beating the bushes, making sure these recruits that have said they were coming don't decommit. All the while, particularly in the Southeastern Conference, they're making sure their guys are still coming. Tennessee's still looking for a coach.
Yeah, and there's an early signing period this year. Everybody needs to remember that. For the first time, you can sign players, and I think it's December 20th.
20th to the 22nd.
It's coming up, and, players are going to get gone during that early signing period. I follow Michigan recruiting pretty close, because I'm, that's the team I like. And I can tell you, reading the reports there, Tennessee recruits are getting poached left and right by other people, and they're getting contacted, and they're all finding somewhere else to go. This was going to be a top 10 recruiting class. If you get somebody in now, you might be able to limit the damage. You at least give them a fighting chance at that. But this thing's dragging on forever. There's no end in sight. And if you're a Tennessee recruit and you see this, and you see everybody turning Tennessee down, what do you think the odds are you're going to get a good coach? So they're all going to go to other schools and get into those recruiting classes before those spots get gone. So you can't blame the players in this situation for, kind of taking the temperature of the situation and doing what's best for them. By the time this is over with, if it's a top 30, top 40 class, I'll be surprised.
Hokie high. My man's coming up next. Chris McCall talking Hokie football. Justin Fuente, I don't think was ever on the radar screen out of Virginia Tech. Why would he left up there? I mean, he can go 8 or 9 wins a year in Blacksburg, be competing for the ACC championship and making a nice, comfortable living. Why would he even consider going to what has turned out to be a cesspool's the right word, but it's a dog and pony show right now in Knoxville, which is a shame, because I've heard people say throughout the week that don't even have an interest in Tennessee football per se, but have graduated from Tennessee. So it's an embarrassment as a graduate of the school how this has been, how we've been perceived across the country in this coaching search, and you lay it back at the feet of one guy, John Curry, and so I will be shocked unless Jimmy Haslam has enough pull and enough say-so to keep him down there. I would be shocked if he doesn't fall on the sword, as they say. So, quick break. We'll be right back. Chris McCall's coming up next. A little bit later on the show, Dave will talk to Jeff Birchfield, East Tennessee State Buccaneer football. They're on as he mentioned, they're on the recruiting trail now too. It's not just the D1 guys. It's the East Tennessee States It's the Furmans, it's the Emory and Henrys, all these coaches and all these teams now out beating the Bushes. Obviously, it's kind of a trickle-down effect. You got the big boys, and then the next tier, and then right on down. So, point being, East Tennessee State's out there looking at recruits right now as well. They also can enjoy the early signing period, December the 20th through the 22nd. And so Dave will talk to Birchfield about how
Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's model year closeout with gym employee pricing and 20% off on 17 models at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. It's a great time to take advantage of closeout savings on our selection of over 300 Chevys to choose from. 17 1500 work truck, $23,995. 17 track, $17,548. 17 cruise, $16,488. 17 spark, $10,950. 17 Malibu, $18,985. Closeout savings, Saturday parts and service hours, and shopping online 24/7 will leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just two great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Look right there.
Look
Who
right there,
in the
Madeline.
world is that young lady? Chris McCall's with us. Hokey. Hi. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, Tom. Good to be here,
Well,
buddy.
this young lady's just prettied up the set now. Who is this young lady?
This is Madeline.
Hello, Madeline. How are you? Can you see yourself on the camera? Yeah. Can you say, go, Hokies?
Say it. Go.
Yeah. She got what?
She said, go Hokies.
She got doggies in her house. Is that what she said?
Can you say go Hokies? Say, go Hokies. You got to sit over there?
Got to sit over there. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
All right. That's
All righty.
Well,
You're not going to say go Hokies? Okay.
She said she's got a big girl bed and she's got doll babies and watch those cords.
That's right.
No.
I got you.
Okay.
All right.
See if I can get her on here. She's got Josie. She's got 2 dolls.
In a big girl bed.
In a big girl bed. And she's born on, when were you born? When's your birthday?
No, what day is your birthday?
Christmas Day.
Christmas?
You born on Christmas Day?
A
You're going to get a big pony.
She's awesome.
You need to go see Uncle Pig. I think Uncle Pig needs to see you. Yeah.
Lasso Jay. She's lassoing everybody with.
Everybody needs to hang out with Uncle Pig, don't they?
Everybody needs an opportunity with Uncle Pig.
Uncle Pig.
If they're feeling good, he'll bring them right down. He can put a somber mood in anything. The guy, that guy right there.
Chris said, if she's feeling good, Pig will bring her right down.
That's what he's there for. He's going to be the leveler in heaven. When everybody's rejoicing and having a great day, Pig's going to be the one bringing him in going, hey, calm down a little bit. Don't get too excited about this. But it'll be okay. I mean, everybody has their spot.
What do you call this,
That's
Pig?
Pig
What is
Scott.
this? A segment for dummies. All right, so.
I would be mad if I were you. But, he can't insult me like that anymore.
I like the old boy. As long as he gives me some taters. I like him. He's a good feller. He's a fine feller.
He is.
You got a great staff here.
But we got good people.
I love coming over
good
every
people.
Thursday. I look forward to coming with Jay and Pig and this went totally blank.
Bob
Thank you, Bob
Bays, living legend.
Bob and Lloyd
Union College.
Living legend.
Oh yeah, he's probably in the Hall of Fame 4 times before they had fences.
And Andy and Tim and the folks.
Andy and Tim and the
Yeah.
folks.
And the Queen, she's still up there, I think. Kristen.
Oh yeah, she's running the
working
show.
the internet sales on the phone. We are here at Champion Chevrolet. Gosh, today's the last day, but tomorrow starts a brand new month of new incentives from General Motors and Chevrolet, right?
Yes, sir.
We don't know what they are yet.
We don't know what's going to happen.
No.
It'll be a surprise to everyone tomorrow morning.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because you all kind of wait to see what's coming down the pike.
That's right, and that way we can't tell everybody what's coming
there you go.
tomorrow. So they've learned long ago.
Yeah, but folks,
can't do that.
It's been a good month, and a lot of folks have taken advantage of having the same discount as GM employees, right?
That's right. That's right. They got it for what I bought it for, right?
There you go, which
Yes,
is a
sir.
rarity. Doesn't happen very often.
Doesn't happen very often at all.
All right, hokey high. Let's let you weigh in on the fiasco down in Knoxville. I never thought for one moment Justin Fuente would be interested. I mean, I don't know why he would leave Virginia Tech for Tennessee. I don't know what would be the job that would get him out of Blacksburg, but this guy, I mean, he's going to average 8 or 9 wins a season. The fan base is there. He's going to compete every year in the ACC. Without all the pressure and obviously the craziness that comes with the job in Knoxville. So I don't think Justin Fuente was ever strongly even considered.
Never, you heard that name.
Sure.
Of course, you've heard everybody's name the last 3 or 4 days, especially.
Andy
yeah. Everybody was afraid to drive through Knoxville, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's sad that a program like Tennessee, that has to go through something like that.
It's their own doing, though.
Oh yeah, I mean they've done it to themselves.
Sure.
I mean they make that pressure cooker down there, and
So,
who wants to go into that? I mean, you got to look at Justin Fuentes. Now, like you said, he's up there. He's going to get 8, 9, 10 wins a year. He's in a beautiful part of the country. And not that Knoxville's not a beautiful part of the country, but the claw. You win 9 games in Blacksburg, the claws aren't out.
Two coaches I thought from the get-go were not even in the running, and I've said it, and I may end up eating my words, was Justin Fuente and John Gruden. I don't think he was ever, because he strung them out since September, since the Georgia game, they started talking to Gruden, and yeah, he's coming, his kid's going to UT, blah, 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 but he never showed up. But Fuente never thought for 1 second he'd be leaving Virginia Tech. Why would he? I mean, this guy, I don't know what kind of money he's getting, but I'd say he's okay. He's not eating beanie weenies and Pop-Tarts, is he?
They've got him locked in pretty
go.
good.
I would think so.
And the good thing about Tech is they've always had the reputation not just taking care of the head coach, they take care of the whole staff. So, and they make sure they do that.
Big win last weekend. We talked to Chris 2 weeks ago. We didn't have a show last Thursday. It was Thanksgiving. But 2 weeks ago we talked about the Commonwealth Cup and what was going to be happening with that one. And, of course, the Hokies won it again, went up to Charlottesville and beat Virginia, which is an improved football team. They got shut out 10-0. But I think is it Bronco Mendenhall, is that his name?
Yes, sir.
I think you're going to see big changes at Virginia because I think he's got that program turned around. But the Hokies went up there in a tough place to play and got a big win.
Got a big win, a ugly win. Wasn't if you're an old school football guy, you loved that game, right? Because it was a defensive struggle the whole day, and they did to Virginia what they needed to do to Virginia. They didn't let them score. So if you can't score, you can't win.
There you go. And see, I think in this day and age, in 2017, in the era of modern college football, if you shut out a team, well, you got the guys that kick field goals 45 and 50 yards now, and some even longer. So if you can do whatever you got to do defensively to keep a team from scoring, in this case, the Hokies shut them out 10-0. I would think that was quite an accomplishment for Bud Foster and his Hokie defense. Foster's going to hang around, isn't he? Is there any chances he's going to?
Oh, no, I don't think Bud's ever going to leave. Yeah, we're in good shape.
I don't know what his age is, but
Bud's probably he's in the late 50s now. if not early. He's not in their 60s, I don't think, yet.
So recruiting, let's talk about recruiting. And also, of course, they're bowl eligible, so where do you think they might end up if you had to speculate?
You know, you don't know at this point. You want to hope they're going to stay on the East Coast. They typically do, so you'd like to see them say somewhere in the state of Florida. If you play in one of those North Carolina bowls, those typically are a very big bowl, but a 9-3 team ought to get a pretty good bowl, and they'll get a good bid because they're going to carry a good squad. There's going to be a good following wherever they go and whoever they play. So
talking to Chris McCall, of course, and Virginia Tech Hokies. This is our final show of the season, and we've already got the notice we're back next year, which is very exciting. This has been a show that we're very proud of, and it continues to grow each week. The word's getting out, and we're going to do even better job of getting the word out next year. Got some things right up my sleeve I'm going to do to get it rolling even more as far as bringing attention. But Chris has been with us every week talking about the Hokies, and you look at this football team, and last year they went to the Belk Bowl. They were down 28-0 if I remember correctly. They had the biggest comeback in school history and beat was it Arkansas?
You're right.
Beat Arkansas in the Belk Bowl in Charlotte. So you would like to think, for what you just said, the good fan base, 9-3, 9-win season. You would think that these guys are going to get a pretty good bowl and a pretty good payout, which helps recruiting, and everybody wins, right?
Well, my staff just brought me the information that Justin Fuentes makes $3.2 million a year.
Bob is on it. See
Bob,
there?
my staff.
That's your staff.
Bob's my staff.
Bob's your staff.
Pig's my other staff, and when we teach him how to use a phone and a computer, he's going to help me with the other information I need. That's going to be for next year, Tom. Bob, I'm going to have my own staff.
There you go.
Pig and Bob will be my staff.
Yeah. So
that's right.
Football guru Bob. So Pig, he's trying to learn how to use a phone, correct?
We're going to his flip phone right now. We're trying to get. Yeah, he locked it up about 3 months ago, and we're trying to teach him how to get it open. And as soon as that happens, we're thinking about getting him something with great big dials, maybe one of those ladybug
big large
phones.
Buttons.
Yeah.
So just take your thumb and dial it.
We don't want to make it too hard.
No, make it easy for
maybe not numbers, just pictures. Pictures on the dials.
Picture on the dials. He knows he hit that button and it's speed dials or whatever.
Make it easy for him.
There you go.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're talking to Chris McCall. So 9-3. We'll know next week where everybody's headed once this Sunday all the championships are done. The ACC, you got Miami at 10-1, taking on Clemson 11-1. That's going to be at 8 o'clock on Saturday evening. Of course, the Hokies played both. You take Clemson, you take Miami in this one.
I'm going to ride with the Hurricanes.
Going with the Hurricanes?
I really am.
Really?
I didn't even ding that too loud, but I want the Hurricanes to win this game. If anything else, to kind of just upset the apple cart a little bit, have a little bit more fun. This season's been a lot more fun. The parity between the teams have been better than we've had in the last couple of years, right? I mean, it's just fun to see it come down like that, and everybody has a loss or two. Everybody can still argue like we did before the playoff system.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're taking Miami.
I'm taking Miami.
And
yeah.
the Hurricanes.
Let's
to win.
is it the turnover chain? What do they call that? Where they all wear the chain on the sidelines. The defense does if they get a turnover.
Oh, yeah, the turnover chain.
Is it turnover? Yeah, turnover chain. Maybe that's it.
I think it is.
Did they have another name? What's the turnover? Well, I thought that was Pig. Excuse me.
What is it, Miami? The turnover chain.
The turnover chain. Is that what it's called? The turnover chain? I thought maybe they had another name for it. I was trying to think what it was. But that's awesome.
It's just like the turnover trash can, except it's motivated.
Yeah, right. That's right. It works pretty good.
Works both ways. You got it. We're talking to Chris McCall. So recruiting off season. I know the kid up in Union. They're after him, the tight end. Looks like he's leaning towards being a Hokie. But what are the needs here in the off season? Do you think for Virginia Tech?
They're going to load up in the offensive line. It looks like they've gone after some linebackers. They've got a kid from Oscar Smith, and I actually wrote these down. That's what I was looking for in my pocket earlier. But they've got a linebacker from Oscar Smith. He's 4-star.
You got it in your pocket? Just stand up.
I don't. That's what I was looking for him earlier. I thought I had him when I sat down, but I didn't.
Madeline's probably got him.
He's 6'3", weighs 227 pounds. He's solid as a rock. I mean, had like 112 tackles so far this year, or this year in this season. He's real strong. They've got two big offensive linemen. One from Fork Union. He's 6'4", 290. I think he came from Wisconsin, Fork Union. And then they've got a 6'8", 260-pound kid from Crocet, Virginia. So he's 6'8" and 260. He played tight end. He was 6'8" playing tight end, but they're going to make him an offensive tackle. So they'll get him up to about 350 pounds, and he'll be a monster. So.
Can you imagine going out on the field and looking across and knowing this guy's going to pound me for 4 quarters?
And he's 6'8". I mean, that's unbelievable.
For 2 halves, I'm going to get pounded by guys 6'8" and whatever.
They've got 24 commits right now. And, of course, that's going to change a little and go up and down through February. But, Tech's always great about getting the local talent. That's what they try to get. They try to steal that business from Virginia and, northern North Carolina, southern Maryland. That was always their key, and they do a good job. So I don't see, I see a lot of 4 stars in there and a lot of 3-star players. They've got a kid from Blacksburg, a safety. He's a Beck kid. Cole Beck's his name. A safety and a running back. He's a 3-star player. He's been awesome at Blacksburg for 4 years. And they're going to keep him at home. So, you're happy to see stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, great reports, and we'll find out where they're going to be playing. Of course, this is our last show of the year, so we'll kind of check in with Chris anyway because we're here every Thursday during the day to do the Tom Daly Sports Show. But hokey.
Hi.
There you go.
I've had a great time, Tom.
Yeah,
appreciate you,
good.
buddy.
You back next year?
I'm back next year. As long as Tim has me back next year, I'll be more than happy to help you.
I think we're safe in that regard. Quick break. We'll be right back. Dave Vonge will be back to talk to Jeff Birchfield about Buck football, their recruiting needs. They're out on the trail. Again, the early signing date, remember, December the 20th through the 22nd. That's the brand new one the NCAA has instilled or implemented. And, of course, the traditional first Wednesday in February is the second one. But, again, a lot of these kids are going to get sewn up coming up here in a couple of weeks. And we'll find out about the Bucks and take a break, come right back on the Champion 5-Star Football Preview Show. Then waiting in the wings, Andy Dietrich. He turned down the Tennessee job earlier today, so he's going to stay put. We'll talk to Andy coming up in a little while here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Dave Vonge and Jeff Birchfield are next.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here are the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance. We follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl of Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns, scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back here in the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview. Always a pleasure to talk to my good friend Jeff Birchfield, and we have him on tonight to talk some ETSU football. Jeff, how's it going?
Doing well, Dave. How are you tonight?
Oh man, I'm fantastic. Just excited to talk a little football with you here. Of course, season wrapped up in Chattanooga. Close ball game down there. Of course, ETSU couldn't quite get a win over their rival down there in Chattanooga, but it kind of put the wraps on the season. How do you size up kind of what ETSU was able to accomplish this year?
Well, they had some high points, with the win over Mercer. The overtime win, I guess, was a really high point, but the season sort of ended, a little bit on a downer there. Like you said, with the Chattanooga loss, I covered the game down at Sanford. Didn't really play well that weekend either, so they were up and down for sure this year, if you saw them from an eyeball test and saw the schedule, you knew they had a better team this year than last year, even though the record last year actually ended up better, 5-6 compared to 4-7. But you can see improvements, but there's a couple of key areas which we can get into where the Bucks really need to make strides in.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing that you kind of have to, a little qualifier that you put on it is you look at the improvement of this program. You can't really look at wins and losses because the schedule seems like every season from one to the next, it's just ramped up every year and gotten tougher every year, kind of culminating with a season where they're playing the defending national champions early and then playing a very tough Southern Conference slate where it seemed like they're playing a ranked team almost every week.
Yeah, they had like 6 losses right there. It came 2 ranked teams, So, it was, like I said, a brutal schedule. Chattanooga wasn't a ranked team. They had a little bit of a disappointing year, but ETSU, was close in that one. But I had another game like over at Western Carolina, it's the team ETSU had beaten the year before in the game up at Bristol Motor Speedway. But, this time Western at their home field, they were ready for the Bucks, and, really wore them out that day.
Yeah, it seems like you mentioned Western, you mentioned Sanford, which are 2 good wins for ETSU last year, and those teams kind of got revenge this time around. But, you look at ETSU as a whole, you can kind of see, of course this happens when you bring in almost all freshmen the way they did, and then watch them progress. The physicality of the team on the offensive and defensive front this year, you could really see how much more physical this team was as it matured another year.
Yeah, that's true, but and that being said, that's probably still one of the 2 areas where they still need the most work at, and some of the guys have been redshirted, and I'll talk to Coach O'Kane, Mike O'Kane, the offensive coordinator, at the last press conference we had, about that, and, he's talking about there's some guys that are getting in the weight room, they've been, expected to contribute heavily, next year, because offensive line, defensive line, and then the other area where they struggled, at times this year was really that defensive backfield. So, gave up a few big plays. So those are probably the areas of the team that really need shored up the most.
Yeah, it's when they play well, it seems like it's that rhythm passing game that they have. They kind of get into rhythm and get the ball out quick, and kind of move it around, let guys make plays in space. But I would imagine the goal for them moving forward is to really establish a good running game, which obviously starts up front with the offensive line and kind of be able to bolster their rushing numbers a little bit and make it a little bit easier on whoever's quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Austin, whenever he's had time back there in the pocket, he throws a pretty ball and all, and he's really an efficient quarterback. But you're right, he needs some support from that running game. And one thing hurt them in addition to the line this year, their best running back, Jawan Stinson, he stayed hurt a large portion of the season and stuff. And, a lot of the other guys on the team not being insulting to him, but they just don't have that explosiveness that he has, that first step.
Yeah, and they, you look at the future of this program, and it looks to be bright. I mean, a lot of young players this year, some of them were able to make an impact as freshmen, which is saying a lot when you have so many, sophomores and juniors, and even a few seniors on the football team. You had some freshmen that played big roles this year. So you're starting to kind of get that next generation of players in that's really getting in and pushing for playing time and creating a lot of competition.
Yeah, for sure, and I mean, that's, one big strength of this team has been, the linebacker and position, especially Dylan Weigel there, and he's taken a lot of those young players under his wing, set a good example how to do things the right way. I think I wrote after that Sanford loss, that's one guy, you just see every play. He's out there giving it his all, no matter if they're winning by 40 points or losing by 40 points, he plays the game, the way it's intended to be played for sure. And then, that's an example that rubs off to those younger players.
Yeah, it's, we have signing day or the early signing period coming up, which is kind of new to everybody. I mean, have you had a chance really to talk to the coaches and see if they approach things different or how things have changed with an earlier date?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't, on that. I know the earlier date with the December 20th deal, coming up, it has, changed college football in general. I mean, obviously, with the whole deal with the Tennessee coaching situation, it's made it a lot more of issue, where you're wanting to get everybody in there before that early signing date for sure.
Yeah, you used to always kind of have till February to get things shored up, and that's kind of adding to the urgency there for sure. And, ETSU is a team that, they had kind of a larger senior day than was expected this year because you had some of those guys who were, juniors who are finishing up their degrees who had the opportunity to come back and play next year, but, a few of them decided not to. How does that affect their depth chart going into next year with some guys moving on that they may not have been expecting?
Well, it definitely affects it. I think they've had that happen, with the graduation like you're talking about, and then also, they've had some guys who've just opted not to play. I know coming into last year, we're talking offensive line, they had a couple of guys who decided they weren't going to play, anymore. So that just, threw a monkey wrench into everything, just to be honest with you. And that sort of, going back to like our previous conversation, some of the troubles that they had, could be, traced back to that. And plus, too, another thing with ETSU, they had a little instability there with the two coaches, in those two particular areas. Talking about they lost two coaches, from June to, the end of the season, in different incidents there.
Yeah, definitely. That shakes things up a little bit. Just kind of looking forward with this football team, into next season, and they've gotten themselves established. I thought the huge step this year was able to play games on campus. A huge step forward for the program from that respect as well. Seems like there's a lot of excitement going into next year. What areas do you expect ETSU to be improved by the time they take the field for the 2018 campaign?
Well, I think the biggest thing, like we were talking about, is up front. And if it does, I mean, I think it just affects, especially on the offensive end with, running game, passing game, it'll just help it all the way around, And if they do, I mean, then in turn it helps the defense because they're able to control the clock a little better. We talked about that Sanford game, the when they beat them, in 2016. The way they beat them was they just controlled the time of possession, so much. So, if ETSU is able to use that formula, get those short passing game going like that, then they can be a, pretty competitive team next year. But two next year, I guess, is the first of the big games, with the FBS type schools. They end up playing Tennessee down there in Neyland Stadium next year.
Well, I'll tell you, who knows who'll be coaching that one? That'll be fun to find out. But Jeff, I appreciate your time this evening. Like I say, always great to talk to you, whether we're on the show or just chatting at other times. So great visit and enjoyed your time.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dave.
All right. Appreciate it. Coming up next, Tim and I are going to be picking the conference championship games this weekend. We're going to have a lot of heated discussion about that. I'm sure it's going to be fun to see who wins these things. First, we're going to take a timeout here real quick, and we'll be back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview.
Blue Lizard Australian sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's model year closeout with gym employee pricing and 20% off on 17 models at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. It's a great time to take advantage of closeout savings on our selection of over 300 Chevys to choose from. 17 1500 work truck, $23,995. 17 track, $17,548. 17 cruise, $16,488. 17 spark, $10,950. 17 Malibu, $18,985. Closeout savings, Saturday parts and service hours, and shopping online 24/7 will leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just two great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Yours truly, Tom Taylor, along with my co-host, Dave Angie. Show finale coming up, the grand finale for this season, putting the wraps on it tonight. And so we got a few more minutes. We're going to be breaking down the conference championships, and Andy Dietrich, fittingly enough, will wrap up the show and wrap up the season. We'll let him bring in the heavy artillery to wrap it up here in a few minutes before we get out of here. 1A football, congratulations to Greenback. They won the state championship today, beating Cornersville 42-21. Dave, in the third quarter, Alcoa's looks like they're on the way to another state championship.
They are. You know, that's been a machine down there. Another big win for them if they can hold on. It's 24-14 right now. I think about 9 minutes left in that one. So Alcoa, they've been there before, and I expect them to close that out. Later on tonight, also, you got Beach playing Knox Catholic. That's a 7 o'clock game. I guess 8 o'clock since it's over in Central Time. So, yeah.
Cade May will be there for Knox Catholic tonight, right? The big lineman?
Should be.
Yeah.
Should be. It'll be.
That's when everybody has committed to Tennessee, and all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks decommitted, leaning towards Clemson.
The thing, too, is he was recruiting a lot of other players to come to Tennessee, so if he's developed some bonds, they may go with him elsewhere. And that's, again, we were talking about that with Jeff Birchfield a minute ago. You know, you look at this early signing period, it really puts a premium on hiring a coach. Don't want to beat a dead horse, but, man, call Les Miles.
There you go. Call the Mad Hatter. Get him in there and let him wear orange. Again, we'll let you know tomorrow. We'll be live at Food City on Virginia Avenue in Bristol with the Tom Taylor Sports Show tomorrow. Andy Dick, you're coming, big dog. You're coming. Tim, he's getting a little testy over there. So, Andy Dietrich is coming. Mr. Copenhaver. If Tennessee will take him, what? The orange britches?
The orange, yeah.
He has
Dooley pants.
Andy, you got orange britches? You have them, don't you? Don't you have orange? Yeah, that's what I thought you did, yeah. We're here again talking. talking, again, my man Dave Angie from the News and Neighbor, our co-host of the show. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Greenville in there for the state championship. The Green Devils with their 4A Mr. Tennessee football, Cade Ballard, and saw these guys play Elizabethton back in the regular season. They're the real deal. Elizabethton, I thought, had a chance to beat them that night, but they did not. And, of course, Greenville goes on to put themselves in the state championship. I felt like a couple of weeks ago the Greenville-Anderson County game, for all intents and purposes, was the state championship game.
I think you're right about that. I think Greenville got through that game and won that game based on what they did during the regular season, which is go out and play everybody. They took all comers. They played, Dobbins Bennett, Morristown West, Science Hill. They pretty much won the 6A. The 6A championship this year in addition to the 4A. And I think that really, when they hit some adversity in the postseason, a lot of times you have undefeated teams and they come up against adversity the first time. They've played in a lot of blowout games. Their starters are used to sitting around in the fourth quarter. Then the fourth quarter comes in this crunch time, and they just don't have the gas left in the tank to win a game. I think Greenville, if you look at what they did in the second half, I think they held them scoreless second half, and they were the second half team, and that's because they built that endurance by playing bigger schools, deeper schools, schools that are as big and as fast as they are, during the regular season out of conference. And I think that really paid dividends in that game. And I think you're right. I think they're the favorites to go in. If they execute, they should win tomorrow.
Odd number teams, or I should say classes, playing tonight and today, 1, 3, and 5, and tomorrow 2, 4, and 6. Chattanooga Tyner taking on, I went totally blank for that game tomorrow. Greenville plays at 4 o'clock in 4A football. Then at 6A tomorrow night, Maryville and Cane Ridge will play for the state championship tomorrow evening in 6A football. All right, conference championships, let's break it down here before we get Andy Dietrich on here and to wrap up our season, our first season of the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Pac-12 tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, ESPN. Stanford, the Cardinal, 9-3. The Southern Cal, the Trojans at 10-2. Who do we like in that game?
That's going to be an interesting football game. I'm going to pick Stanford in this game because of the running game, and they've got just an excellent running game, and I think that's more likely to pan out. When you get in a big game like this, I think the ability to run it versus the ability to pass it. It's my saying, and I'm going to stick with it. You throw the ball, 3 things can happen, 2 of them are bad. And that's something that I've heard a million times from coaches, and I'm going to put it on Stanford right here because I think they've really improved as the year's gone on. I think they win that ball game.
All right, we got Stanford and Southern Cal. That's on Friday night. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to ride with you on that one on Stanford. On Saturday, the AAC Championship, Memphis, the Tigers at 10-1, taking on Central Florida. Scott Frost, more than likely, is heading off to Nebraska. I think they got to wait till after that game's over, but more than likely the Black Knights lose their head coach. Are we taking Memphis? Or are we taking Central Florida?
Interesting ball game to me. And I earlier in the week we talked about this Chick-fil-A when we were over there the other day, and I was kind of leaning towards Central Florida just because I'm a big believer in Scott Frost. But right now, Scott, I just don't think he's focused on this football game because of the fact, he's thinking about his staff at the next place. He's thinking about moving his family up there, everything else. It's only natural, and the players have to know too, that this is the end with this guy. So I think the distraction of that's going to allow a really good Memphis team, not to take anything away from them. They're a good team. It's going to allow them the edge that they need to get the win.
So we are taking, I'm with you. You're going to take Memphis?
We're going to go Memphis.
Take Memphis on an upset. I think that's what that would be.
Yep.
Coming up next is the Big 12 Championship, 12:30 on Saturday. The Horned Frogs of Texas Christian at 10-2. The Oklahoma Sooners, number 2 in the country, at 11-1. Who do we like here, Boomer Sooner or the Horned Frogs?
You can write this one in ink. It's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's going to get the win. I think credit to Texas Christian, TCU, and the job that Patterson's done there. He's apparently is good enough to coach on the big stage because he gets his team there time and time again. But that Oklahoma offensive line is going to be the difference in that ball game. They're going to be able to run the ball when they need to, keep TCU's offense off the field. They get the win.
There you go. Again, it's the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Up next is the Southeastern Conference Championship, 4 o'clock on Saturday, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. You got the Auburn Tigers, of course, coming off the big win over Alabama. They are 4th in the country, and the Georgia Bulldogs right now at number 6 in the country. Dogs or Auburn coming up on Saturday?
I'm going to take Auburn in this ball game. Defense, first of all, I think their defense is playing it very confident right now. What they did to Alabama last week, I thought that was that was a very good job of being able to neutralize a great offense. So I'm going to go with Auburn there. Georgia, now they're playing a lot of young players too. You know, you look at their quarterback position, they're playing a young guy there. I think it's stage is a little bit too big for them at this moment. I think Georgia has the brighter future than Auburn, but on Saturday, Auburn gets the win.
Boy, you just hear that vet crank up. That thing was purring like a kitten.
It was. I was pro, though, man.
I love it.
I stayed in the pocket there.
Oh, baby, I like that. That thing was purring.
That was nice.
Tim showing a customer this Candy Apple Red 2018. I guess Candy Apple Red with a rag top, a convertible black top.
It is a beautiful machine.
Oh, it is a beautiful machine.
It is.
No
Sounds good,
question.
too.
Purring a little bit. Fresno State, Boise State. Fresno State both at 9-3 playing tomorrow night for the Mountain West Conference Championship. You like Fresno State or Boise State?
You know, hopes are really high for Boise going into this season. You know, and they had a loss or two they kind of weren't expecting, but I think they've gotten to be more solid as the season's gone on, and I'm going to pick Boise. I think they have more talent on the field than Fresno does, and that's going to be the difference.
So I'll go back to the Southeastern Conference when you were talking about that. He fired that car up. I'm not so sure Auburn's going to win this game. I still think Georgia's going to come out. I said this on the show today. Last week, Georgia had 46 yards of rushing on 32 carries. I will bet any dinner at any restaurant in the Tri-Cities with anybody that Georgia is going to get more than 46 yards and 32 carries of football on Saturday. Can they beat Auburn? You know, that remains to be seen. Obviously, they didn't the first time out, but I'm going to go with Georgia, so we're split.
Okay.
So pick number, let's see. We can't do pick number between 1 and 10 because one of us will know the answer, but
I wish I had a coin to flip.
I do have a coin.
You got a coin?
I may have a coin.
We're going to flip a coin.
Let's flip a coin right here because I just think Georgia the second time around. Kirby Smart's an outstanding coach. He's going to figure this out, but so is Gus Malzahn. So let's see.
I'll go with the coin flip. I'll respect it. Heads for Georgia.
Call it.
Let's see. Heads for Georgia. Right? If it's heads, it's Georgia. It's heads, we're going Georgia.
Going Georgia.
We'll go Georgia.
Hey.
We're scientific around here.
Yeah. High-tech rednecks is what we are.
We crunch the numbers, and then we reach for the coin.
There you go. We're taking Boise State or Fresno State.
We're going. We went with Boise in that one.
BSU. All right.
Yeah.
Two more to pick. Conference championships on Saturday evening. You know, Dave brought up a good point a couple of weeks ago. He brings up a lot of good points, but you know, here it is, the two championship games playing at the same time on Saturday evening. So unless you got a split screen, just go back and forth. You can't really enjoy the games like you'd like. But ACC and Big Ten playing at the same time.
Yeah.
ACC on Saturday. Again, Miami, the Hurricanes at 10-1. They will come in at number 7 in the country, taking on the Clemson Tigers in at number 1. Clemson 11-1. Miami at 10-1. You got the Hurricanes or Clemson? What do you think?
I think Clemson is, far too physical for Miami. I think the problem with the Hurricanes, they've fallen behind in a lot of games this year and been able to come back until they ran into what they did last week. I think that, they've done a tremendous job. Rick, has done a fantastic job with this football team, given the talent they have, because I don't think physically they're as good as their record is. I think they've played over their head this year a little bit. You have the defending national champions, a lot of players who have played a large role in that. Clemson stubbed their toe at Syracuse, but with Bryant in the lineup and healthy, that was the key to them losing that game. They've gotten better every passing week. I was impressed with what they did against Virginia Tech. I don't think Miami is going to be able to weather the storm against Clemson this week, and I'm going with the Tigers.
All right. Last but not least, the Big Ten Championship on Saturday. You've got Wisconsin, number 3 in the country, taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Buckeyes are number 6, 7, 8th in the country right now. Ohio State 10-2, Wisconsin at 12-0. Badgers or Buckeyes? I say Badgers. What do you say?
I can tell you this: Michigan lost to Wisconsin 2 weeks ago. They lost to Ohio State last week. Mm-hmm. So we've got experience with both of these teams, recent experience. I can tell you, eyeball test watching them, Wisconsin is a much more physical football team than Ohio State is. I think Wisconsin is a better, more sound football team on both sides of the ball than Ohio State. So I agree with you. Even though they played a weak schedule, it's not going to cost them this year because they're going to get the win and go to the playoffs.
I've said all along, I guess I can kind of gloat a little bit because I've said since about week 6 or 7 of the season, keep an eye on Wisconsin. They could be the wild card team. They're trying to run the table 12-0 right now, trying to make it 13-0. Maybe they and Central Florida, are they the only unbeaten teams in D1 football right now?
Sounds right to me.
Yep. So
yeah.
Wisconsin, 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, taking on Ohio State. They play that one in Indianapolis. Is that correct?
They do, and there's one championship game that's not on here, and that is Lane Kiffin and Florida Atlantic. I'm picking Lane Kiffin because I'm telling you, he has been tearing it up on Twitter this week.
Conference USA, the CUSA Championship.
Conference USA, we're going with Florida Atlantic. Not that it matters, but did you hear the line the other day on the Dan Patrick Show when Dan Patrick said, do you ever worry that you're giving Nick Saban too hard of a time on Twitter? And there was just silence on the other end of the line, and Kiffin finally said, he's not ever going to see it. Nick Saban doesn't know what Twitter is. So,
whoa.
It's been a good week for Kiffin.
Oh, Kiffin's been firing him. You got that right. He was making fun of Tennessee fans as well, so he's firing shots all over the place. But, hey, he's got his team in the conference championship, so proof's in the pudding, as they say. Before we take a break, bring in Andy Dietrich. Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, top 4 in the CFP. You like it? Can you live with that?
Let me see. I can live with that. And, I personally think that when the dust settles, those will be the 4 teams that go to the playoff. If I had to go out on a limb and predict, I would say those are the 4 that go.
If any of those 4 teams lose on Saturday in their respective championship games, because they're all 4 playing, then who do you bump up? Bump up Alabama?
Well, it
bump up Georgia?
It depends on who loses. If Georgia beats Auburn, then I think Georgia gets in Auburn's place. If Miami beats Clemson, I think Miami gets in Clemson's place. And those other teams are still on the outside looking in. I think it gets interesting if Ohio State beats Wisconsin. I think if that happens, that Alabama gets in over Ohio State, even though Ohio State would be the Big Ten champs because you have a 1-loss team versus a 2-loss team. So, and if TCU beats Oklahoma, who knows what will happen then? It could get real wild.
So if you say that's not fair to Ohio State if they are the Big Ten champions and don't go, just go back to last year. Remember Penn State?
Yep.
They ran the table in the conference and didn't go because it didn't have the name, to me, didn't have the star power that Ohio State had. But it's going to be interesting this weekend. So we are picking Stanford, Memphis, Oklahoma, Georgia, Boise State, Clemson, and Wisconsin, and FAU, Mr. Kiffin, and Florida Atlantic. So quick break. We'll come right back. We'll visit with Andy Dietrich, and then we'll come back, and Dave and I will close out season number 1 of the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We'll do that right after you hear this from the great folks right here at Champion Chevrolet on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's model year closeout with gym employee pricing and 20% off on 17 models at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. It's a great time to take advantage of closeout savings on our selection of over 300 Chevys to choose from. 17 1500 work truck, $23,995. 17 track, $17,548. 17 cruise, $16,488. 17 spark, $10,950. 17 Malibu, $18,985. Closeout savings, Saturday parts and service hours, and shopping online 24/7 will leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just 2 great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
back again on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Here he is, the co-owner of Champion Chevrolet, Andy Dietrich, and had a big announcement today. Earlier in the Tom Taylor Sports Show, he announced that he was, and then he was going to go coach Tennessee, and then he sat down and talked to Tim. Tim offered him a 5-year contract, and so he said no to UT, and so you're still here.
I'm still here.
There you go.
I had briefly said I was going.
Yes, and you had Pig as a recruiter. You had Cletus as a linebacker coach. You had several people already handpicked to be on your staff. So
Chris McCall was going to be a defensive coordinator because he flexes all the time over there in that reflection of that glass.
Hokey high. So now, embarrassment or not embarrassment for this whole thing?
It's ugly.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, no wonder nobody wants to go there.
Yeah.
And I bet all these schools are furious with Tennessee because they've had to pay big raises to all these coaches for them to stay. And it's cost them all serious money because they bounced around everywhere.
Never thought of that. It's a great point. I mean, Oklahoma State, Gundy got a pay raise plus a promise of better facilities.
NC State got
NC State. Purdue. Shiano's probably, from what I've been reading, may bring legal
defamation of character.
Yeah, he may bring a legal suit against Tennessee because he was ready to sign a contract and they bailed out, as everybody knows by now. So yeah, Tennessee really has cost people money. So who do we go get? In seriousness, who would you go get?
If it's true about Les Miles, interested in it, go grab him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they wait any longer and ask anybody else and screw it up anymore, it's going to be a nightmare. It's already going to be a nightmare, but unless they can.
I told Dave just earlier in the show, Arkansas is looking for a coach. There'll be more. It's not done after Saturday and all these championship games. You'll see some more heads rolling, and so, how about Florida State? They say, well, maybe Willie Taggart, maybe not. It may be if Jimbo Fisher leaves, they could go after Les Miles. So
Steve Spurrier said today T. Martin. But there's something must be there about that, because why didn't they at the early stages ask T. Martin? They must know something or something's.
And they've named Jason Witten. Jason
Witten said no.
He said, I'm not the coach, maybe someday, but I haven't coached the first day of football.
Yeah.
So.
Well, why would he want to quit? I mean, he's got all those records and signed a 4-year extension last year and making, I don't know how much per year.
And I'll be willing to bet when it's all said and done, if Jerry Jones still around as the owner, and I don't know why he wouldn't be, that he'll put Witten in the front office as an ambassador. Here's what's really cool about Jason Witten. The NCAA has created the Jason Witten Humanitarian Award this year. It's going to be handed out to the college player that does the most off-field and helps their community. And
you won that last year, didn't you?
You just told a secret on me. I'm going to tell a secret on you. No, I didn't win it, but it would be an honor if I did, because you think of all the guys who've played ever. This is the first ever
on
award.
Tim, but we can't say that either.
No, don't get him. No, just let it go.
We can't.
The first ever humanitarian award named for anybody in the history of college football is Jason Witten from Elizabethton, and that shows what kind of class guy he is. But he came out and said maybe someday coaching, but I'm not done with the Cowboys, and I haven't coached the first day. So they're just grabbing anybody. Jeff Brom at Purdue, the guy's 6-6 this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're back to at that point hiring a Butch Jones kind of guy that's kind of got a look at Shiano's record. At Rutgers, the guy's 68 and 67.
Coach Clark is thinking about it.
And Stacey Carter. I like it.
Stacey Carter.
Or Graham Clark.
They could both go in together and do it.
Or what's Ballard's first name down in Greenville? The boy's name's Cade. Yep. Coach
I nominated you on Facebook earlier.
I know that, and I appreciate that very much. I've had several calls, and I said my agent's Tim Coben. If I can get a 5-year contract out of the deal, and all the goobers I can have, and a candy dish on my desk, I'll go.
If he makes it the big time, he'll never think of us again.
No,
us little lowlifes here in East Tennessee.
East where?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. So anyway, we're live here at Champion Chevrolet. We're wrapping up the month of November, December 1st tomorrow. The new incentive's not out yet. It's kind of
no, it won't be till the morning.
Yeah. So you guys really don't know what's going on. I mean, GM and Chevrolet comes out with
no clue what's going on tomorrow. I know that we're going to sell cars and there'll be some money on them, and it should be really great because we always make it great.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't tell you exact things because I don't know them.
Because you don't know them. Exactly.
I just know you're going to be here next week.
Yes, and the bread and butter of what you sell week in and week out are
trucks.
TRUCKS, trucks.
You know what's crazy though? This week it's not been trucks. It's been cars.
Yeah. For example, you have sold which
oh
kind
my gosh, I think
Impalas?
I think on Tuesday we sold 5 new Chevrolet cars. I mean, and no trucks.
So you really, when folks walk in, you really don't know what they need. There's no real trends, is there?
No, I mean we try to take the time and do like an interview process with them and try to, you don't want to wear out a customer and you don't want to drag them all over the lot and wear them out and burn them out. You sort of bring them in, sit them down, and say, what are your wants and needs? Do you have a payment range? Because if they're wanting to be at a $350 a month payment, but look at a $70,000 Tahoe, those two things aren't going to work. Right. So you sort of need to let's instead of spending 2 hours looking at $70,000 Tahoes and then find out you want a $350 payment, let's find out up front what your wants and needs are, your budget and everything, and then go out and let's look at this set number of cars, just not to keep you here all day, because that's some of the horror stories in the car business is, Lord, I had to take a whole day to go buy that car. We don't want that.
No.
I have a life.
Sure.
You have a life. The customer has a life, and we want to be efficient and easy and a simple process and do it quickly.
ChampionJC.com, that kind of gets things going too, doesn't it?
Yep. I mean, we saw a figure. We heard a figure. It's been several months ago, where the traffic the foot traffic on the car lot annually in the United States has dropped. I think it was some crazy number, like 10 billion people in the last 12 years. And the reason behind it is people are doing their research at home instead of, let's go get in the car. It's 8 o'clock. Let's hit 8 car dealerships today and look at different cars.
I agree.
That doesn't happen anymore. And the number is staggering. That many people are not going to car dealers. It's not that they're not buying, because you see the numbers, the sales numbers are up, but they're doing their research. They're talking to us through the internet, email, chat, over the phone, and being more efficient and a smarter shopper and learning things before they even get here. They know what we have before they come.
That's how I did mine. I got on the internet, ChampionJC.com, started looking around and seeing what I wanted and the price range I wanted. And
you came in for a Spark, and I sent you home in an Escalade.
That's it. Man, he upsold me. Just like Chick-fil-A. He upsold me. That's good.
How do they do that?
How do they do that? So it's a great place. It's the #1 Chevy dealer in the state, from Memphis to Mountain City.
In 11 years, I'll be here February 16th. Been here 11 years, and over those 11 years, we've sold more total Chevrolets than any other dealer in the state of Tennessee over that time period.
I like it.
Yep.
You do look like Dale Jr. with the beard. Looks like Dale Earnhardt Jr. right here.
That duck commercial, where they did the duck call, and he ramps out of the tumbleweeds in the swamp with the car and races around, and all the ducks fly up. I love that commercial.
Yep.
I could see myself doing that.
I can see you doing that too. Are you
some sort
are
of
you
a
a
high-tech redneck?
Are you a hunter by trade?
No.
Do you hunt?
No, I have been pheasant hunting. That's about all I've done. And turkey, I did go turkey hunting once.
See anything?
I shot one. It flew over the woods, the trees, and the guide and I went to go find it, and we came to a 600-foot cliff, and that sucker committed suicide. Can you believe that? So let me get it. I blasted it, went over the trees, and
down over the cliff. And you said, "Happy hunting."
Yes,
we're not going after it.
I'm done.
I'm done.
My hunting days are numbered.
Heading to the house.
Yeah.
There you go.
What was funny was, let me tell you real quick onto that. We were at a place, it was right beside a golf course, and we were out there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the turkeys were walking on the golf course, and there's a whole bunch of them coming, and we had snuck up through the rough and got up right on the edge of the fairway line where the real fine grass is, and the guide goes, pull, shoot, and I shot it, and I was, you sat there not moving, because turkeys would pick up your moving and they'll take off. I was sitting there, I was getting sore. I was sitting so still, holding this big old 12 gauge, and when it hit me, I didn't have my gun placed, so I had this big bruise the next day down my forearm, and I blasted part of the turkey, but I also blasted big chunks out of the fairway on the golf course. Luckily, they didn't send a bill.
Putting a 12-gauge shotgun in your hand, that's just like Three Stooges. Have fun.
Yeah, watch out.
Pre-owned vehicles, you got a bunch of them here on the lot, and if you're not in the market for a new one going into the Christmas season, they've got some pre-owns. You sell a lot of pre-owns at Christmas time, don't you? And
Yes.
particularly the week after.
Yes.
People got their cash coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret. The biggest day for us, or biggest week, is the week between Christmas and New Year's, because a lot of people are trying to cram stuff in before year-end for tax purposes, individual and businesses. And so it's usually that day after Christmas, it's like hold on for dear life. But it's a good mix of new and used. A lot of times it is new, depending on what kind of business they have and what kind of tax structure they have set up, how much they can write off on it. And some people have to lease because they can write off their lease payments and their mileage on it.
Check it out at championjc.com. You get in and look at the makes that are currently on the lot of pre-owned vehicles. Look at the makes, the price you want to go after. You can even get go through, actually get bought right there on the website too, right?
Yeah, you can submit a finance application. We can get you approved and have everything knocked out. All you do is come in here, sign the paperwork, and drive off in your vehicle and sit at home in your underwear at your lazy boy.
There you go. All right,
and watch Tom Taylor Sports Show.
That's it. I love it. Thank you, and it's growing. We appreciate that very much. All right, picking panel, here we go. Tim's made his picks, and Tim won last week, by the way. Tim kicked butt and took names, went 9 out of 10 to the picking panel.
He
last
studied
week.
harder than I did.
The only one he missed was the Washington State game. So, Stanford, Southern Cal, who do you like?
Let me back up. How did he know to pick that Alabama was going to get beat? I didn't know that. I couldn't figure that one out.
He picked Auburn.
I know. That surprises me.
Yeah. I don't know. He did, but he won.
And he did win. That was a pitiful game. Okay, sorry. Back on track.
Stanford and Southern Cal for the Pac-12.
I'll say Southern Cal.
Okay, you guys are staying on that one. Memphis and Central Florida in the AAC Championship.
I'm going to go for Tennessee.
Okay.
It's the only Tennessee team that has a shot.
We'll go with Memphis. There's a difference. Okay. Oklahoma and Texas Christian in the Big 12.
Oklahoma.
Okay, there's the same. Georgia and Auburn in the Southeastern Conference.
I'm going to say Auburn.
Auburn, there's a difference. I'm with Tim. Georgia's going to win. Boise State and Fresno State.
Did you see how bad Georgia played the other day?
It's all right. They're going to get a second chance.
Ew.
They can't beat them like that. As I said earlier, they're going to get more than 46 yards on 32 carries. I'm with Tim. Georgia's going to win. Boise State, Fresno State.
Boise State.
Boise State. Okay, there you guys are the same on that one. Clemson and Miami for the ACC Championship.
I'm going to say Miami.
Okay, there's a difference. We do have some separation. Ohio State, Wisconsin in the Big Ten.
Ohio State.
Okay. All right, so there you go.
You must not have liked that pick.
No, I'm okay. But I'm not picking you, Art, and that's good. So, so what if you win, what's the treat this week? You've had cookies, you've had pumpkin pie. What's going to be the treat? You guys like eggnog? Are you an eggnog guy?
Yes.
Does Tim like
No,
eggnog?
he doesn't. Tim doesn't like anything. That's the pickiest eater you've ever seen. I have to just get him a case of water or unsweet large extra iced tea from Pal's, and that's about it.
Well,
or bananas.
Mr.
Let's do a thing of bananas. Winner gets a thing of bananas from Food City. How about that, Tim?
He's not even. In Mr. Copenhagen's defense, he has lost right around 40 pounds, looking very
out there on the beach in front of everybody. He's getting ready.
Yeah, he's getting ready, all right. Yeah, buddy, he's getting ready. So, yep. Hey, we do want to say thanks, man. We had a good time. It's been a lot of fun over here. So, 1 year in the books. So,
speaking of that, I've got neighbors that are trying to sell their house, and we don't want them to move. We like them a lot.
Yeah.
So I tell them every time they have a showing, I lay out my front yard in a Speedo to cause the people to drive off there looking at their house.
Look, honey, drive on. Drive on.
Honey, cover the kids' eyes.
I like that house. Drive on. There's a nut in the front yard. Go, honey, go. That's good. But we want to say thanks. I know we had a good time.
What was your name again?
Tom.
Okay.
Taylor.
First time I was on here.
Yeah. Didn't know what my name was. It was great. But we've done good, and we.
This your first time here?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So,
first day and last.
Yeah, that's it.
For this show. This
first
year?
day and last day.
This year.
For this year, yeah. But we had a good time. I enjoyed it. So, did you enjoy it?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim enjoy it?
Tim, did you enjoy it, Tim?
Not that he's competitive. There you go. All right. So I'm going to let you jump up, and we'll let Dave come back over and say goodbye, and then we're going to be back over here next Thursday ready to go. Boy, he just got I can't do anything with him. The man is out of control is all I can tell you. He is a piece of work. Our buddy Mr. Dietrich. How do you top that right there? Can you?
Gene Chizik can.
Yeah.
I'll give Gene Chizik. I saw him on Twitter a minute ago. Gene Chizik said, "So this is how it works now. Search gets leaked. Hire isn't popular. Angry fans light up social media. ADs and presidents wilt. Fans 7, administration nothing. Circus ensues. Suddenly you're on choice number 5."
There you go.
So I think you might be describing Tennessee there.
Talking Tennessee football.
Talking Tennessee football, and I don't know, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting words there from the man getting ready to play for the SEC championship this weekend. We'll see how that goes.
There you go. Hey, we've had a good time over here. You're number one. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, my friend, for co-hosting. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's there's people in my life that don't like to hear me talk football as often as I do, and they like to put me over and babysit me for a couple hours every Thursday night and let me talk football somewhere else, get out of my system. So
absolutely.
No, it's fantastic to work with you. Great to be here. We had a great year.
Yep. I want to say thanks to the contributors, Joe Vento with East Tennessee State and Jeff Birchfield tonight. Joe was on assignment. Kevin Harmon talking Tennessee football all season long. Doug Fritz talking high school football all season long. Doug works Johnson City Press. So does Birchfield. And so does Joe Vento. Also, Kevin Harmon, again, the real estate agent, talking Tennessee football. Thank you for that. Chris McCall, one of the finance managers upstairs, our Hokie contributor every week. And then also Carmichael with the top 5 college football games every week. He was spot on in all of his information, all of his predictions, and his opinions and thought processes, and we like that as well. Of course, this gentleman here to my left, as soon as I thought, man, I got to get this guy on the show, and it's been, I feel like, great chemistry, and it's been a win-win. Looking forward to it already for next year. So I think I got all the contributors: Kevin Harmon, Chris McCall, Joe Avento, David Carmichael, Dave Angie, and of course myself, and we've had a big time and a good time, and so we'll reconvene with this next year. That's the plan. Come right back here and do year number 2 next year. So for Tim Copenhaver and Andy Dietrich, Tim, how do you stand it, brother? How do you? He just walks around shaking his head.
They talk about great rivalries in football. There's a lot of good ones, but Copenhaver and Dietrich is up there with it's like the Iron Bowl in here.
It is a classic. It is like the ultimate odd couple. Mr. Wide Open, pedal to the metal, Lane Kiffin, if you will, which would be Mr. Dietrich, and then by the book, straight and narrow, low key, Joe Cool, Tim Copenhaver. Is that a good description?
That's great, man.
There you go. Hey, we're out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. We'll be back tomorrow, the Tom Taylor Sports Show. We'll be, again, ready to roll tomorrow live from Food City in Bristol, Virginia Avenue at Eric's store. Getting ready to talk about the big Fantastic Friday. Again, thanks for giving us a watch and listen. Like us and share us. This show is going to be out there in the archives for you to watch, and we'd appreciate if you continue to do that and like us and share us, and we'll pick you back up with you, I guess, next August with year 2 of the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Yep. Until I meet you tomorrow and greet you from Food City in Bristol, as we always say, win or lose, be a good sport. Thanks for giving us a listen to year number 1 of the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. So long, everybody.